We had really heavy rain across our area this morning. A little break now, but more rain on the way later this afternoon. I'll show you how it could affect your evening commute.
A woman is charged with a crash that injured at least 3 people, including children under the age of 10. She's expected to face the judge this afternoon. What arrest warrants reveal about this case.
And a road project, years in the making, is nearing completion when vehicles will be able to roll down the newest stretch of 540.
Today's a WRAL weather alert day for heavy rain in some areas and some flooding. This is a live look right here. The tall tower cam right there in eastern Wake County, I should say. And we want to welcome you this afternoon. You see those clouds thick building in there. I'm Jeff Hogan.
And I'm Renee Chu. Thanks for joining us. Flood warnings from this morning have since expired, but more rain is in the forecast for the evening commute. We have live team coverage over the next 60 minutes.
And we begin with meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center right now with a look at where that rain was heaviest.
It was heavy right around the Triangle area. We did have a flash flood warning for parts of Durham County and flood advisories for a good bit of the Triangle. Fortunately, we're seeing a little break in the precipitation, but the models do show that redeveloping again later this afternoon. Some of that heavier rain sliding eastward. And again, we are just looking at a little bit of a break in the precipitation for the moment. We take a look at what we saw earlier this morning, and we had at least 1.5 inches of rain in the northern part of Wake County and parts of Durham County. You can see also up in parts of Orange County, almost 2 inches, over 1.5 inches in eastern Wilson County, and down around Smithfield and Clayton, we had at least 1.25 inches, about 1.5 inches down in Goldsboro. So we're just really coming down. Had some big effects on our morning commute. Futurecast showing, at least for now, a lot of that rain sliding on to the east, but more of that redeveloping a bit later on this afternoon and into the evening, especially say around dinner time. We get some heavier rain in some of our northern counties. So our rain chances for this afternoon likely to be around 50%. It may drop down to 40 from time to time. That is not the only story, of course, that we're talking about this morning. We could see more heavy rain on Friday. Tropical storm Helene formed at the 11 o'clock advisory with winds at 45 miles per hour. It's now moving northwest at 12, and the forecast path has it as a Category 1 by tomorrow and becoming Category 3 quickly as it moves across the very warm Gulf of Mexico. By Thursday, it's Category 3, and Thursday evening, it's likely making landfall. It continues to move up toward North Carolina and Tennessee, bringing us the potential for some heavy rain on Friday. Look at this. We could see anywhere from 2 to 4 inches of rainfall. We'll walk through the timeline and other impacts that we may see here coming up.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center as we take a live look at the capital city this noon hour. We did have reports of a couple of incidents on New Bern Avenue. One just cleared in the last 30 seconds near Sunnybrook Road. This is the other one on New Bern Avenue near Traywick Road. We're not seeing any particular issues in that particular area, but just watch for some police activity in that intersection. Here's a live look at I-40 at Airport Boulevard. No problems to report, just some damp road conditions. Traffic moving along at a steady clip. This is a live look now at the northern side of the Beltline. This is a camera of the I-440 and Capitol Boulevard. No problems to report on that and any of our other major roads this noon hour.
WRAL has you covered when it comes to tracking any severe weather that comes your way when we're not on the air. You can track it all the way on the news app, or WRAL News app. If you have it installed on your phone, you turn on the alerts and get notified about severe weather in your location. It's available for free for Apple and Android devices.
A Raleigh woman is in jail under no bond after crashing a car into a tree with 5 children inside the vehicle. Diamond Kennedy faces numerous charges. She's expected to appear before a judge this afternoon. WRAL's Chelsea Donovan is live near the crash site with what the arrest warrants reveal. Chelsea.
Yeah, Renee, so we're here on Western Boulevard in Raleigh where that crash occurred around 9 o'clock last night. This was an incident that took about 4 hours to clear by Raleigh police. I want to draw your attention over there to that tree. You can see where it's kind of uprooted and mangled. A lot of debris from that incident. Police say Diamond Kennedy was the driver and she had 5 children in the car when she crossed the center line right here outside of Dick's and then crashed right into that tree. Now, this is video taken last night from our breaking news tracker. 6 people, including 5 children, were involved in this crash. Now, new warrants I just uncovered show that Diamond Kennedy was driving 60 miles per hour in a 35 mile per hour zone, and her license had been revoked due to a previous driving while impaired charge, according to warrants. Now, warrants said a 6-year-old child in the car suffered a broken jaw, a broken arm, a laceration on their liver, and bleeding from the head. A 5-year-old inside also suffered a concussion and laceration on his head, according to these warrants. Now, I just spoke to the Department of Insurance this morning about the importance of proper child restraints.
Child safety seats reduce the risk of fatal injury by 71% in infants and by 54% in toddlers. So it is a very important factor. We have found typically that 9 out of 10 children are not properly seated.
Now, Diamond Kennedy is charged with not properly restraining those children. That's where the child abuse charges come in. She'll face a judge this afternoon at 1:30. We'll be there and bring you the latest on WRAL and WRAL.com. Live in Raleigh, Chelsea Donovan, WRAL News.
A Raleigh man charged with making and possessing child pornography is behind bars on no bond. This is a picture of the man we're talking about, Brian Jones. Police say the crimes took place in March of 2023. Jones is charged with 2 counts of sexual exploitation of a minor.
A Hope Mills man wanted for murder is now in custody. Douglas Chavis turned himself in at the Cumberland County Detention Center last night. He was wanted for a shooting on Chinkopin Court. That's near Grays Creek. Authorities say Chavis shot and killed Nikki Savage, and a woman is in the hospital. Chavis is charged with first-degree murder. And we now know the name of the man who was shot and killed on Holloway Street in Durham. Police identified the victim as Marquise Sinclair. Officers found Sinclair in the area of North Hyde Park Avenue around 11:30 last night. He had been shot several times. They took him to the hospital where he later died. Police have not brought anyone into custody yet.
Just a short time ago, President Joe Biden addressed world leaders gathered at the UN General Assembly in New York City. This was his 4th and final address at the UN as president. Biden addressed a series of global challenges, from the climate crisis to the conflicts in Ukraine and the Middle East.
Even as the situation has escalated, a diplomatic solution is still possible. In fact, it remains the only path to lasting security, to allow the residents from both countries to return to their homes and the border safely. And that's what we're working tirelessly to achieve.
President Biden also announced a donation of 1 million Mpox vaccine doses to African countries, as well as a $500 million commitment to help with the response to the outbreak.
Happening now in the WRAL Live Center, the son of this man, you recall, he's accused of the assassination attempt at President Trump. Well, his son now facing federal sex crimes charges. Orrin Ruth is charged with possessing child sexual abuse images. Ruth was arrested this week after authorities searched his Greensboro, North Carolina home. Now, according to court papers, investigators seized multiple electronic devices and found hundreds of files of child sexual abuse images. He's also facing 2 counts of possessing and receiving child abuse material. Of course, his father, Ryan Ruth, is in custody, facing charges accused of trying to kill President Trump.
The first at-home flu mist nasal spray vaccine is on the way. The FDA approved the nasal spray outside of a healthcare setting, so you can use it at home, but you still need a prescription. AstraZeneca plans to launch a website where people can answer some questions and have those answers reviewed by a pharmacist before the spray is shipped to their homes. Flu mist was first approved in 2003. The at-home vaccines will be available beginning next fall.
In less than 18 hours, you'll be able to access the new 18-mile stretch of 540. Officials and people celebrated the long-awaited opening this morning before it opens to traffic. WRAL's Brett Neese is live there. Brett, this has been a long time coming.
It really has, Renee, and because of so many weather delays, and that's why it's so fitting that on a day like today where there was some rain, that's when officials cut the ribbon. But it is open tomorrow morning. These are some of the gantries that folks will be driving underneath for this toll road as it does open tomorrow morning. And I want to show you what the moment was like when those officials cut the ribbon. Take a look at this here, and you can see it was just such a nice moment with so many leaders from the Turnpike Authority, DOT, state and local leaders. They all came together to officially mark the opening of this new stretch of 540. The first phase costs nearly half of the $2.5 billion being used to fund the complete 540 project. Construction began in 2019, and now, 5 years later, tomorrow at 6 a.m., the road will be open to traffic.
It's just going to be such a traffic relief and allows so much more maneuverability for people, even if you don't use it every day. If you're late for an appointment or you have to pick up your child at daycare, you have an option now.
So with phase one complete, let's focus on phase two now, because attention is really turning towards that. That's a 10-mile stretch from I-40 to I-87. That will complete the outer 540 loop. Construction set to begin early next year, if all goes according to plan. Of course, with massive projects like this, it's hard to estimate a completion date, but they're hoping by 2028, complete 540 will be finished. Live in Raleigh, Brittany, WRAL News.
Phase one, 5 years in the making. Well, next at noon, a rideshare for women operated by women. Where this was started and why.
Also, obesity rates are surging in America. The latest numbers on the group seeing the biggest uptick.
Plus, if you requested an absentee ballot this year, it is on its way. At 12:30, the new rules for voting absentee.
Keep watching WRAL News over the air Channel 34 and Spectrum Channel 1257.
October is Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and a local nonprofit specializes in raising awareness and helping survivors heal. Joining us today to talk about the week of healing, Ed and Flo Dudley. Thank you guys so much. The founders of Durham-based Shining Light in Darkness. So happy to have you here ahead of the month that we're talking about. We'll get that word out there. It affects everyone, nearly, domestic violence, right? So talk to us about the statistics.
Oh, the statistics due to this epidemic is very high. It is 1 in 3 women and 1 in every 4 men, and it used to be 1 in every 6 men. And for the state of North Carolina for domestic violence in 2018, they spent over $500 million regarding domestic violence, abuse in healthcare, and et cetera. Also, back in 2020, there were also an 8.1 increase in domestic violence during that time as well.
The money, a good start. Not going to get us all the way there yet, but to help raise awareness, you have events planned all throughout October. It's Domestic Violence Awareness Month. Tell us about those events, Ed.
Yeah, so I'll start on the 2nd. We'll be in Elon University supporting the students there with their Survivor Night. And then we'll kick it off in the Triangle area with our event we call Glow of Grace on April 4th. And Flora, you can talk a little bit about our Glow of Grace.
Yeah, the Glow of Grace is something that's very, very special and personal to me because of being a DV survivor myself. It's a way to commemorate the memories of the one that has survived it, and also for the ones that have lost their lives to domestic violence.
Yeah, so on October 4th, we'll be in Apex. We're partnering with the Apex Police Department. Chief Armstrong of the Apex Police Department and Mayor Gilbert will be out supporting us on that event as well. On October 25th. On October 25th, our second Glow of Grace event will be in Durham, North Carolina. And then in Durham, North Carolina on October 11th, we will have our event called Jokes That Spark Hope.
You have community initiatives as well to add to those?
We do.
Yeah, we do a lot of things in the community. We do a lot of education around domestic violence, what it is, the multiple forms of domestic violence, because a lot of times when you think of domestic violence, we just think of the physical. We forget about the mental, emotional, and the financial abuse as well.
Also, a very tangible way of helping some of those survivors, your Break Free bags. Tell us about those.
Our Break Free bag is a very critical bag that helps the survivors that are escaping domestic violence, and we give them the basic necessities that they would need in order to maintain some type of normalcy. We make sure that they feel like they still have a piece of their personal items, even though it's not their personal item, but that bag entails a lot of different personal items for them, as well as gifts to the survivor, and if they have children, a stuffed animal for them as well.
Well, I understand it's very personal to both of you as a survivor and now giving back.
Yes.
Absolutely. So Ed and Flo, thank you guys
thank you
so much. Doing amazing work here in the Triangle. Here's another look at some of those upcoming events, and to learn more about Shining Light in Darkness, you can visit their website. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Renee?
A service in Arizona is offering a car ride for women by women. Elena is the brainchild of a mother in Phoenix. She came up with the idea after several unpleasant rides, and she's raising a daughter that she wants to feel safe. The service isn't just for a quick lift. Users can book them for round-trip rides to the doctor, as well as bachelorette parties and tours. The goal is to help women feel safe getting a ride.
When my safety is involved, I love that it was women-owned. I knew that it would be a woman driver, especially, 2 a.m. That's kind of a vulnerable time to be out. So I felt very safe in this environment with a female-owned company, female driver.
The bookings must be made 24 hours in advance through their website, phone, or text. Well, just within the last hour or so, the storm that we've been tracking in the Caribbean now has a name. It is Helene, and tropical storm status now, but likely to intensify to a hurricane.
It is, and possibly even a major hurricane as we get into the middle of the week. We, of course, have a hurricane watch now for the coast of Florida and some tropical storm warnings there for us. By Friday, we'll likely have some heavy rain and windy conditions. And what we're looking at today is a little more intense than what we were expecting as we were looking ahead to Friday yesterday. Right here's where the center of the storm is, and it will move right in between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula and on up into the Gulf of Mexico, where the water temperatures are very warm. And so that's going to be a lot of fuel for the system to work with. It's 180 miles southeast of Cozumel, Mexico right now, moving northwest at 12 with winds at 45 miles per hour. So that was a jump from 5 a.m. to 11 a.m. of 10 miles per hour. We'll continue to see it intensifying fairly quickly. We'll watch it here again, moving just up in between Cuba and the Yucatan Peninsula, becoming a Category 1 storm, most likely by tomorrow morning, and then very quickly gaining Category 3 or major hurricane strength by the time we get to Thursday morning, and then making landfall Thursday evening, somewhere here, most likely in the Big Bend of Florida. And we watch it moving northward. It loses strength, but of course it takes a lot of moisture with it. So rain is going to be a big issue with this, and wind also as it moves inland, especially over parts of Florida and Georgia. For us, we'll likely have some windy conditions and some significant amounts of rain. This is a little bit different than the path we were seeing yesterday, where it really kind of took more of a left-hand turn here. This path is a little more straight, and if it bobbles any farther over here to the east, that will increase our potential for rainfall. Let's talk about some of those tropical alerts. Right here in red is a hurricane watch, and right here in the Big Bend of Florida, they're expecting as much as 10 to 15 feet of storm surge. This is a very low-lying area, and that's going to be really devastating. If you remember Hurricane Debbie, right around here was where it made landfall back in August. And so we're looking at another storm that's likely to cause problems. That was a Cat 1. This could be a Cat 3 at landfall. Already we have tropical storm warnings down around Key West. Lots and lots of rain with this. For us, it's likely to be around 2 to 4 inches. But the mountains could see up to 7. If you think back to last week, we had all that flooding that happened down around the Wilmington area, Carolina Beach in particular, 18 inches of rain. Well, 7 inches of rain in the mountains of North Carolina could do the same sort of damage that we saw down at Carolina Beach with a lot less rainfall. Those mountains really funnel that water and make it so much more powerful. Around here, 2 to 4 inches of rain on Friday, 30 to 45 mile per hour wind gusts. Tornadoes are possible, certainly, as we have landfalling systems. Back to what's happening right now. Boy, we had downpours, a lot of heavy rain, about 1 inch to almost 2 inches of rainfall this morning. We're seeing a little bit of a break right now. Still some isolated showers across parts of Edgecombe and Wilson counties. We do have the potential for some scattered showers as we get into the evening commute, maybe an isolated thunderstorm then and into the evening. 50% today and tomorrow, looking at a 90% chance of rain, of course, on Friday. Taking a live look, people are all out and about down Fayetteville Street right now. Looks a little bit breezy, but we've seen things dry out nicely. Our temperature is 75 degrees, and we'll see highs in the upper 70s to low 80s for highs this afternoon. Looking at Friday, of course, that looks like the day that we'll see the heaviest rain, the biggest impacts from Helene. And then after that, we should see some drying out. Maybe Sunday, we'll be back to dry conditions.
Elizabeth, thanks. You might think you're a savvy, smart shopper when it comes to snagging a bargain, but are you using all available tricks out there? Coming up at 4, 5 on Your Side shares a simple tool that can help you save a lot of money while shopping online and in stores.
Then at 6, weight loss drugs are becoming increasingly popular, but it doesn't mean they are more accessible. We'll look at how lawmakers are attempting to cut the cost of drugs like Wegovy and Ozempic. Well, still ahead this noon, TikTok is known for its trendy content, but it appears more people are turning to the social media site for their daily news. the age group most likely to rely on that source.
Also, there's more to Vincent van Gogh's The Starry Night than meets the eye. What researchers uncovered about the famous work of art.
Welcome back. This noon, we give you this live look right now. The WRAL Azalea Gardens. They are getting a little bit of natural watering today, like a lot of places. As you watch WRAL News, available on Spectrum and the WRAL app on your TV or streaming device.
Today, city leaders will learn more about a plan to revamp a key part of downtown Raleigh. This is a look at the reimagined version of Fayetteville Street. The goal is to make it known as North Carolina's Main Street. Today, city leaders will discuss the final 3 phases of the plan with project leaders. We're getting a look at the plans to develop the area around the newly named Lenovo Center. Buildings northwest of Carter Finley Stadium in Raleigh make up a 27-acre entertainment district. Taller 40-story buildings along Edwards Mill Road are a 12-acre mixed-use development. The Carolina Hurricanes submitted their rezoning application to the city. The plan calls for several types of businesses, including retail, entertainment, offices, and live-work areas.
Boeing has made a best and final offer to thousands of striking workers in the Pacific Northwest, but the machinists union won't put it to a vote, saying Boeing has refused to bargain over the proposal that falls short of the members' demands. Boeing offered to reinstate performance bonuses and improve retirement benefits if workers accept the offer by Friday. Boeing is under intense pressure to end the strike that could cost it billions of dollars, with production halted on several of its top-selling planes. More Americans are turning to a popular social media platform to get their news. New analysis by the Pew Research Center finds 17% of Americans say they regularly get their news from TikTok. That figure has increased about 5 times from 2020 to 2024, especially among young adults. 4 in 10 young adults say they regularly get their news on TikTok.
It's a WRAL Weather Alert Day. Although the flood warnings in the Triangle have expired, there is still a potential for scattered showers and heavy rain this afternoon. Elizabeth returns with the look at the updated track.
Election Day is exactly 6 weeks from today, when you can expect an absentee ballot and the deadline to request one for the November election. And we have a look at your winning NC Education lottery numbers on your screen. We'll be right back.
Thanks for staying with us. Moments ago, we got a new update from the WRAL weather team. There is now a medium risk for flooding in northern counties today.
Yeah, certainly one of the problem spots out there. WRAL Weather Center, Elizabeth Gardner there now. Maybe some showers work back in. Could be the evening commute. Trouble spot.
It certainly looks like we could have some regeneration. And most of it looks like it's going to be from the Triangle area northward, which is why the Weather Prediction Center has increased that potential for flooding in those northern counties. Right now, we have a few showers moving out of Wilson County into Edgecombe County, but that's fairly light. This morning, though, we had as much rainfall as 1 inch to 1.5 inches in some places, especially in these northern counties. And so that's why we have that potential for flooding there. It's a medium risk. We're going to be looking at flooding potential again on Friday, too, with our tropical storm, which is likely to become a hurricane. Here's a look at some of those rainfall totals. And again, you can see how a lot of this was in the northern Wake County, parts of Durham County, and up toward Roxborough. That's where we ended up with about 1.5 inches to almost 2 inches of rain. So anything additional on top of that could cause some more problems later today. Here's a look at RDU, where it is quiet right now, but lots of cloud cover. A futurecast showing that potential for some additional showers and thunderstorms to pop up later on this afternoon, especially later on this evening. It may be around 8 or 9 o'clock before we see a lot of that cranking up. And again, looking at about a 50 to 60% chance later on today. Coming up, we're going to take another look at what we can expect here from our tropical storm that may become Hurricane Helene.
Thanks, Elizabeth. Stay on top of the latest storm developments with the WRAL News app. Watch our live newscasts and get the latest forecast. Download the app for free from the Apple and Google App stores. Be sure you have the WRAL News app installed on your phone. Turn on those alerts to get notified about any severe weather in your location.
If you requested an absentee ballot for November's election, it's about to be on its way to your mailbox. WRAL's Laura Levine walks us through the new rules for voting absentee.
We have 42 days until Election Day, and starting this morning, the county boards of elections will place tens of thousands of absentee ballots in the mail over the course of the next few days. So far, county boards have received more than 207,600 absentee ballot requests for this election. This includes more than 19,000 requests from military and overseas voters. 102 ballots have been returned.
September is World Alzheimer's Month, and recently 2 new risk factors for the disease were identified.
The first is vision loss, and this adds on to what we already knew, that hearing loss is a risk factor. In a similar way, vision loss is a risk factor. The other brand new risk factor is high LDL cholesterol, and this is a brand new risk that adds on to medical risks like diabetes and high blood pressure.
Now, doctors are not entirely sure why these 2 health issues play a role in a person's risk factor. However, it is possible vision loss could affect a person's sensory input, meaning their brain isn't processing as much information. A healthy diet and regular exercise are important for everyone when it comes to prevention of Alzheimer's disease.
In less than 30 minutes, the Wake County School Board's Facilities Committee will meet to address nearly $800 million in deferred maintenance to schools. That includes HVAC systems, roofing, and other work. Leaders will look at a list of schools where maintenance upgrades are most needed. Today's meeting is at 1 this afternoon. We'll let you know what comes out of it. Congratulations are in order for North Carolina Central University. The Eagles have landed at the number 15 spot among the top historically black colleges and universities in the country. But that's just the beginning. The university's nursing program is now ranked number 5 among HBCUs nationwide. North Carolina Central marked an impressive 7% increase in enrollment for the academic year this school year, and that's the largest percentage increase in the UNC system.
Words of wisdom from a young cancer survivor.
I feel if you have like a positive attitude, which I know sometimes is like kind of hard to have, you can get through it and you got this. So
you can have a positive outcome. Coming up, how he is helping other young cancer patients suit up for battle against leukemia.
Also, a famous work of art by Vincent van Gogh is more than a painting. The scientific finding that proves he was acutely aware of the world around him. Listen to this statistic from the state. 1 in 8 high school students vapes in North Carolina. It's the subject of our brand new documentary, Gen V, Teen Vaping in North Carolina, airing Thursday right here on WRAL. And investigative reporter Kristen Severance joins us now to talk about this project. Kristen, what did you learn doing this?
Renee, we learned so much. We learned that vaping is happening everywhere, in school bathrooms, hallways, even classrooms. And even though, obviously, kids are not supposed to be able to buy vapes and tobacco products, they all told me they easily can. Here is a very short clip from our documentary airing Thursday.
1 in 8 high school students vape in North Carolina.
Start please with "my name is."
It's not just the numbers.
You're going to look right into the camera.
It's what we heard from every young person we interviewed. The kids who want to vape can. We talked to young people in anti-tobacco groups.
And I've seen it firsthand where once it starts with someone else, then it spreads to another one, and the whole friend group starts vaping. And then it's like a competition to see who gets the better color or who gets a better flavor.
So actually, my football teammates, we were using vapes before and after practice.
We interviewed a teen in treatment for vaping.
I couldn't go to sleep without it.
And talked to young people we met on the street.
It's gone from something that is for cool kids, when we're in 7th grade, and now it's just kind of everyone does it.
They all said vapes are easy to come by, no matter how old you are.
And kids also get them from their friends, and where their friends get it is vape stores.
I always paid someone in my grade to go get them for me.
Just about anybody could get access to vaping.
There's so many vape stores.
I mean, we honestly heard this so much that we really wanted to do our own undercover test. So we worked with and sent in a news production assistant here at WRAL into a dozen stores to see who would ask for an ID and who would sell vapes to her. And tonight at 6 on WRAL, we will have the results of that undercover investigation. This is really something, Renee, that, parents will want to watch with their kids, with their teens, preteens, even younger.
Okay, you're saying even younger.
Right.
I have a 10-year-old daughter. She's in 5th grade. We have not talked about this. And you've spoken with doctors and experts.
Yes.
At what age is a good age to start this conversation?
I asked that. I have twins, 8-year-old twin boys. And I was really interested to know what is appropriate. And most of the doctors said, your kids. You know what you can talk to them about. I did talk to the boys about vaping. I showed them the documentary. We had some really good conversations about what vaping is, how it can affect your brain development, how it can impact your lungs. And it was really eye-opening. They understood it, they got it, and I really hope this spurs other conversations.
What a great way to start that conversation or reiterate and further reinforce that conversation with your families. It's a must-see. We look forward to your story, the story tonight at 6. And you can watch Gen V Teen Vaping in North Carolina Thursday at 7:30 p.m. on WRAL. Kristen, thanks.
Thank you so much.
Vincent van Gogh wasn't just creative, he also had an understanding of the mathematical structure of turbulent flow. Van Gogh created the Starry Night in 1989. This masterpiece features swirling blue hues with streaks of bright gold. Physicists examined the scale of its 14 main swirling, whirling shapes and determined they follow a physical law that governs fluid dynamics. What's special is that Van Gogh died 13 years before the mathematician credited with that theory was even born. He was ahead of his time for certain. Dynamic flow of fluids. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We had a lot of that earlier, but I wish you could paint a prettier picture now.
Me too, boy. And with what's happening in the tropics, we see a lot of that. So interesting. Look at what's happening here across the West. We have thunderstorms that just popped up just in the last hour here in western North Carolina. And so that's a sign that we could see more of that moving in our direction later this afternoon, potentially as we get into the evening commute. The big picture story is we have a cold front that's back to the west. And we are seeing showers and thunderstorms developing ahead of the cold front and south of that warm front. So we are still, even though we're seeing a little bit of a break right now, we are still in that air mass that could support some of these scattered storms through the late afternoon and evening. We take a look at Futurecast, and as we get, say, from 5 to 8 o'clock, we start to see some of that activity from the west swinging through our area. And again, that could help to produce some more heavy rain. And we do have that elevated risk for some flooding in our northern counties later on. Notice what happens first thing tomorrow morning. We're likely to wake up to some showers in our northern counties, but it's not likely to be as widespread or as heavy as what we saw this morning. And hopefully in the afternoon, we'll see a little bit of sunshine. It'd be nice to see it. Thursday also looks like it'll be on the drier side, but then of course late Thursday night and to Friday, we'll be watching that potential for the tropical moisture to begin to stream in. If you're just joining us, Tropical Storm Helene formed in the 11 o'clock advisory this morning, and we're watching the potential for that storm to become a hurricane by tomorrow evening. And then it moves northward, becoming a Category 3 storm. It's going to move through this really warm water here, the Gulf of Mexico, and by Thursday morning could be a Cat 3, and then Thursday evening making landfall as a Cat 3. Storm surge is going to be a big deal with this storm. Hopefully it's going to move fast enough that wind it won't be windy across that area for too long, but boy, storm surge and winds at 115 miles per hour, both likely to cause some problems. And then it moves northward. We watch it make landfall again. We'll sort of take a look at a different view of this. This is a look at where the heavy rainfall is there in the yellow and red. This low pressure system is going to sort of grab it and swing it. It would be like if you were playing with your kids and you grabbed them and swung them around in a circle. That's what this low is going to do to our tropical system, to this hurricane. It's going to swing it around and push a lot of that rain fairly far east into North Carolina. Look at this. I mean, we don't see much rain off to the west or to the south. And what you know, we're going to be right in line for some of that heavier rain as it swings around that low and is absorbed absorbed by it. Right now, the flood risk looks the highest down to the south, but I tell you, I'm pretty concerned about the mountains of North Carolina. I think the flooding risk there is pretty high. We're looking at impacts really far from the center of circulation. We can watch where that center is, but we're looking at a lot of heavy rain on either side of it. And then here in North Carolina, that brown shaded area is going to be 7 to 8 inches of rain. For our area, we're looking at as much as 2 to 4 inches. Again, you can see that. So 7s back in the mountains, and we're looking at 2 to 4 here in our area. But 7 inches of rain in the mountains can cause a whole lot of problems. Speaking of problems, we get into this weekend and we have a lot of events. We have the Benson Mule Days. We also, of course, have Bluegrass Festival, and Friday is looking like it's going to be a pretty messy day. So keep checking back in case there are any changes to any of those schedules. Stay with us. We'll be right back with your top stories.